Hello everyone, this is Remleiz and 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
A newly married Tactica Imperialis. Hello everyone.
Indeed, I want to wish you a massive congratulations.
Thank you, it's appreciated.
And I think my internet's cutting out already. Bloody Virgin Media.
No, I heard you.
I'm sure loads of people in the UK have experienced the whole thing with Virgin Media these last couple of days because it's been cutting out all across the country. It's insane.
I mean, I'm on Virgin and I haven't noticed it, but then again,
Really?
I haven't really been paying that much attention.
Oh, that's probably why. Fair enough. No guests this week because we've had to do some shuffling around in terms of the schedule, and that's so we couldn't get someone on to... Because we're actually recording on the Thursday rather than the Friday this week. I can't speak. I don't know what. God's sake. But yeah, scheduling reshuffle is why we ain't got a guest. Anyway.
Yes, apologies for that. That's on me. Basically, it's a 4-day weekend and I wanted to make the most of it, so I asked for it to get moved forward.
You can't, I didn't hear.
Basically, I asked for it to be moved forward because 4-day weekend.
Fair enough. Right, in the news this week, it's something that actually came up last episode, but we never actually got a chance to talk about. Why do I keep mush-mouthing today? God damn it. 10th edition, that's what I want to get to, 10th edition.
10th edition, right, yes.
10th edition.
There's a lot to say here. As we said in the previous episode, 10th edition was announced back at, Adepticon, but we didn't want to talk about it because there was loads we couldn't say because we didn't know what was going on. There've been a slew of articles since about data sheets, army building, all this stuff, and so I think now we actually can talk about it. Yeah,
so from what I can gather, the entire thing is becoming much more simplified in terms of the rules, more streamlined, which is a good thing because, let's be honest, 8th edition, streamlined things a bit, and then 9th edition brought back the bloat.
Yeah, they're talking about the idea of simplified, not simple. The idea is that the pickup of the game should be easier. They've made data sheets more streamlined. Army building is a bit more streamlined. We'll get onto that. And a lot of the bloat of stratagems, books, etc. has been stripped away. But the idea is the game is still as complex as it always was. They're not taking away the complexity in terms of the depth of the game, but the setup should be better and the flow of gameplay should be faster.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think the best example actually comes... I think where I want to start is army building, because for me, I love force organization charts. I do. I actually really like force org charts, and it's something that Age of Sigmar got rid of. And while I don't mind it, because you just have to take a leader and a certain number of battle line, it did take away a lot of the constriction, which allows you to make more flavorful armies, but also promotes a little bit more power gaming, because only the most powerful things will get used instead of having to take this same tax. But then the power gamers would argue, well, I'm just paying the cheapest tax I can get away with. See also conscripts, cultists, etc. So what they're doing, power levels are gone. That's the first thing. Power levels are gone, which I think is a good thing because most people didn't use them anyway.
Yeah. It seems like one of those ideas that it looked good on paper, but put into practice, it was just kind of pointless.
Exactly, it was pointless. And didn't account for all the imbalances that come with pointed upgrades, particularly take Tau battle suits. They take 87 bajillion guns, and you don't pay a penny for a single one compared to 3 burst cannons. So, There are 3 main point sizes, 1k, 2k, and 3k, with the combat patrol game mode designed to cover the smaller games like 500 points, because the core rules are optimized for 1k upwards.
Yeah.
Your faction rules have not changed, in terms of you have to pick a faction, Custodes, Chaos Space Marines, Eldari, whatever. However, now you choose a set of detachment rules. You don't pick, for example, a sub-faction like Ultramarines. You would pick, for example, the Gladius Task Force of the Adeptus Astartes. This gives you an army-wide special rule, as well as 6 unique stratagems and 4 exclusive enhancements and some other abilities, like combat doctrines. So if you choose a different detachment, you swap out stratagems, advancements, and combat doctrines with your new detachment. So for example, the Gladius Task Force is just something that any chapter can use, but you can have more flavour. Oath of Moment seems to be the unique ability for Space Marines, and I'm sure every army has them. I forget what the Tyranid one is off the top of my head, but...
Om nom nom.
Something like that. But either way, they are essentially saying you get 1 faction ability. Everything else is determined by your detachment. So you will only ever have 2 pages of rules that you need to know for your army. The really interesting bit for me is about unit selection, because they've gone down the Sigmar route.
Which is, for those who don't know?
You need to pick a hero or a character. They say leader in Sigmar, we say character here. So you must have a character, because HQ is a thing of the past. It just needs someone who's got the character keyword. You have up to 1 of each epic hero. That's the new word for unique, which is the same as Sigmar. So each need character can only be taken once, no duh. The rule of 3...
Damn, I can't have 4 or 5 Guillimans in the same army.
No. You can't even have 4 or 5 units of, shall we say, Terminators, because you are only allowed 3 of each data sheet in your army, 3 units the same.
Oh. That's interesting.
Unless they have the battle line keyword, which is a word they borrowed off Sigmar, meaning essentially like troops. It's kind of the troops keyword, but it's not just universally applied to like tactical marines and intercessors. It might replace the core keyword, for example, but I'm not sure. So you're allowed 6 of each battle line and 6 of each dedicated transport, so you will always have enough vehicles to get around in.
Mm.
Finally, you're allowed 1 enhancement per character. You cannot have more than 3 enhancements in total, and each enhancement must be different. Whether that means relic, psychic power, warlord trait, I don't know what enhancement means yet, but you are allowed 3 upgrades per army, and 1 of which 1 can go to each character.
Right. For some reason I'm getting 2nd edition War Gear card flashbacks, and I don't know why.
Well, maybe. The enhancements will probably just be what relics and upgrades and other stuff that you see in the Codex today are. But yeah, it's very much like Sigmar. Pick a hero and then go with it. But you're limited then in how much replication you can take. So if you want to take the first company, you would be allowed 3 Terminator squads, 3, let's say, Vanguard veteran squads, and 3 Sternguard veteran squads. That would be fine, but you couldn't have an entire first company in Terminator armor, for example.
I'm sure they'll incorporate something like, in terms of like some special characters, like you can't do this unless so-and-so is present in your army kind of thing. Because I imagine, like, if they get around to, like, say, releasing a Dark Angel supplement, maybe it could be like a rule for, if you have, Belial in command of your army, then you can have Deathwing Terminators as core troop choices because he's the master of the Deathwing. So.
AOS has this. I call it Battle Line If. It's basically a sub-note on each unit, which is Battle Line If. So, for example, in Daughters of Cain, Melusai, the Snake Ladies, gain Battle Line if a Melusai Iron Scale is your general. And in Lumineth, the Cavalry are Battle Line if you have a unit of Spearmen. So per unit of Spearmen you take, you unlock 1 unit of Cavalry or Archers to be Battle Line as well. So Battle Line if is quite common. We'll see how much it happens in 40k. But that's it. You then just pick your Warlord and play.
Fair enough.
And because there's only a couple of pages per rule, also per detachment, you won't be doing a lot of codex flicking. Everything you need will be on 1 page, especially because, remember,
they're getting rid of codexes, aren't they?
No, to be exact, they talk about like just what happens to codices. There's an article for that. I just need to go find it. Is it here? Yeah, it is. So it says that every codex will be obsolete gameplay-wise. They're not useless because you can have the lore and all that stuff. But
sorry. I just find it funny, like, they're talking about the 9th edition codices, like, they're chock full of laws. Like, the 9th editions are fucking not.
No, they are not.
Not compared to the 8th edition ones, mate. 9th edition ones are fucking bare bones.
Indeed. So yes, all codices are obsolete. They're going to be doing essentially indices for a bit. So the index books like they did before, which will just allow you to pick up your army and play it on day one. But it is worth noting, boarding actions still works as is. They were built around 10th edition.
Ah. Okay.
So yes, there you go. So yeah, every codex has been rendered obsolete. They will be replaced with a new codex, but they will be much more streamlined compared to what they are today in terms of rules and rules management.
Makes sense.
Because basically the way you should be able to play your game is your codex is open on your detachment double page spread, and every other thing else is on your unit data cards, because you will have the option to purchase cards, or they should maybe put cards in the box of every unit you buy. So that would hopefully then mean you don't ever need to flick through your codex to find a special rule or to find a unit, because you'll have cards.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience, this is great. Sigmar does this. Well, no. Sigmar's battle boxes have done this, and it's great. So
Sigmar does this. No.
Well, it does, but it doesn't do it as... Like 40k, for example, doesn't do it at all. But AOS did it with its starter box with Dominion. Every unit's got a card, and it's really helpful. So we still need the battle tome for other stuff, though.
I'm pretty sure 40k originally did it for like the 2nd edition starter set. I think it did. Because it came with little card things you had to like, write on them, if I remember correctly. Or was that the 5th edition fantasy box set?
Don't know.
I got. It's one of the two.
I don't think I was born, so...
The folly of youth and all that, blah, blah, blah.
Aye. We then got a look at a sample data sheet, the Terminator squad. We've seen the Termagant one as well, but the Terminator gives you a better example of, how does a data sheet actually work. They've also done one where they showcase the Intercessor squad ever so slightly, but realistically, the Terminator one is the one you really want to dig into.
Before you jump into that, apparently there are reports going around that there's some quote-unquote leaked data sheets floating around, and apparently pretty much all of them are fake. So just be wary for those who find data sheets online that haven't been posted by Warhammer community themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as you were saying,
so yes.
Terminator sheets.
So the Terminator sheet has a stat line that goes movement 5, toughness 5, 2 up save, 3 wounds, 6 up leadership, and 1 objective control. So what's objective control? I think is probably the place we need to start. Objective control is essentially the number of points it scores towards objectives. So if you have 5 Terminators, then you have 5 objective control. 5 Intercessors has 10 objective control because each of them has an OC of 2. So basically, whoever has the higher OC near an objective gets the objective. It's not about number of models, it's about the objective control overall. Does that make any modicum of sense?
So would that result in, if you have just one Intercessor model and there's a squad of say 10 Termagants, and they have objective control of 1, and the Intercessor's got 2, that means the one Intercessor has priority capture?
No, it means the Termagants have an objective control of 10, and the Intercessor has 2. So the Termagants control the objective.
Right.
You add up the OC of every model.
Oh, right, I get you now.
Yeah, you add up each model's OC. So troops generally have quite a high OC. Vehicles also get quite a large one because, they're big and pushy. Leadership is different as well. Firstly, leadership counts upwards, which I don't quite know what that means, but they're saying that leadership 6...
So it basically acts more like an armor save as opposed to rolling underneath the value. You have to roll over it now.
I'm not sure, because apparently leadership... Yeah, I think it is, because leadership 6 is equivalent to leadership 8. So I'm assuming you'll have to roll 2d6 and get over 6 to pass.
Right.
Instead of 2d6 and roll 8 or under, yeah. And it says that battle shock tests, they actually are calling it battle shock now, exactly like AOS does. If you fail it, then you could, for example, struggle to capture objectives, use stratagems, or fall back. So it might be that they are unable to use fallback commands. It might be that their objective control is halved. It might be they can't be targeted for stratagems. It doesn't say exactly.
Right.
Then we go into weapons. So now what they've done is each weapon has a unique stat line. And by that I mean its attack stat, its hit roll, and everything are tied up in the weapon. So let's take the Stormbolter. The Stormbolter is Rapid Fire 2, 24-inch range, 2 attacks, BS 3+, Strength 4, AP nothing, damage 1. But if you compare it to, for example, the Chain Fist versus the Power Fist, the Chain Fist is Weapon Skill 4+, Power Fist is Weapon Skill 3+. So instead of doing the caveat of you must subtract -1 from the hit roll, what it is each weapon has its own unique hit roll, exactly like Sigmar.
Right.
Yeah,
my internet's died again. Oh no, wait, is it?
Did you get anything of what I just said?
All I heard was hit roll and then just silence.
So yeah, what I said essentially was that the hit roll of each weapon is tied to the weapon, not the user.
Right.
So if you look at the Chain Fist, it's weapon skill 4+, Power Fist is weapon skill 3+. It's not -1, you just have a different hit roll for that weapon. It's the same as Sigmar.
Right. Okay.
Strength, toughness, AP, damage, they're all staying the same. It's just that they've been moved, obviously, into the weapons. And that's about it in terms of the characteristics. They also talk a little bit about there's a new anti-keyword, meaning that they basically always score a wound if they roll a certain amount, irrespective of the strength and toughness. So let's take the Chain Fist. The Chain Fist is anti-vehicle 3+. That means it will always wound a vehicle on a 3 or better.
Ooh.
Irrespective.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. There is another rule called Devastating Wounds, which is what the Assault Cannon has. I assume that is going to be Rending, or the new equivalent of Rending, where it does mortal wounds. I assume, but we do not know at this time what Devastating Wounds do.
Bring back a sustained fire dice.
Finally, they have the Deep Strike rule. Yeah, Deep Strike's back. And they have a stratagem. Oh, sorry. There is a stratagem called Rapid Ingress. And you can see how new stratagems look. So it says when, what the target is, what the effect is, and what the restrictions are. It's not a paragraph. It's very, very easy to read, which is very good if you're just looking quickly. It then says Terminators can use that stratagem for 0 command points instead of 1, but you must set them up next to the Teleport Homer instead of anywhere else. And the Teleport Homer is set up on the battlefield outside your opponent's deployment zone, so you don't have to place it down yourself.
Right.
Finally, the Terminators have a unique ability that says they ignore all modifiers to weapon skill and ballistic skill characteristics or the hit roll. So they always hit on what their hit roll says they hit on. In addition, they get +1 to hit when they are using the Oath of Moment faction ability. Whatever that is, because we don't know yet.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, there's a lot to unpack. To be honest, I think if you play 9th edition, you will find that playing 10th will actually feel very, very similar to playing 9th, but you'll just have a few minor changes in terms of like leadership now counts up instead of down. The weapon skill stat is not unit specific, it's weapon specific. Leadership apparently has changed a little bit in terms of its effects. You've got these new abilities, but they are universal to every unit, like Deep Strike. Torrent is a rule that's back. Ignores cover is back. Rapid fire, anti, devastating wound, critical wound. These kinds of things. Also, Terminators have a 4-up invulnerable save default now. So, Jesus Christ. So yeah, there's plenty going on, but I think it will probably feel to 9th edition players, very similar, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know for certain. I think there are going to be events coming up where you can play it. So in America, if you go to the Kansas City Open, you can play 10th early. If you go to Warhammer Fest, you can play 10th early. So we'll see what feedback we get at those events.
Yeah. Because hopefully in that case, like, they can do some last minute tweaking or something, couldn't they? Before
they won't. The books have been printed last year.
Oh, last year? Well, bloody hell.
Or the books, like, you know how far ahead GW works. Things have been printed way in advance.
Makes you think they should have tested it earlier then, shouldn't they?
It's not about testing. It's just another perk for those who go.
I suppose.
Though they didn't get me my fast
I just don't want to have another situation like, like, hey, here's a brand new edition and the rules are already outdated the day it comes out. Here's an errata patch.
Yeah,
like they did with, like, the 9th edition codices.
Yeah.
Like, the Space Wolf one was out of date before it was even released.
I recall.
And the Custodian one got a patch literally on the day. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
This is why testing is important.
Indeed. And this is why having enough product to ship is important, because I still don't have my Farsight because they only sent 2 boxes to my local store.
Was that, in regards to the local store, was that the one where I got the Rocks of Omen Farsight books, but they're all in French?
No, that was Element Games. I went to my literal local store and said, can you pre-order me a Farsight? And they were given 2 boxes by GW. I was 3rd in the pre-order queue. So, yeah. I then rang up Warhammer World, and my actual local GW, they don't have stock either. So,
bloody hell.
Yeah, there's been a cataclysmic cack-up with Farsight. I don't know what it is, but he sold out online within 2 minutes. The store that's nearest me, which happens to be Nottingham, sold out within 15 minutes of physical stock.
Hell. I think it's part and part of, like, when GW moved their, warehouse operations somewhere else, and someone said it wasn't fit for purpose last episode, I believe.
Me.
It was you, yeah. Okay. Couldn't remember if it was you or Thunder who said that.
No, it was me.
It seems, it still seems to have having a lot of teething problems.
Yeah, whatever the problem is, it's really not helping.
No.
But
God, can you imagine when 10th edition actually drops and they're like, oh, here's a go. 10th edition, your local store gets 1 box.
God's only knows.
They sell out. Each store only has like 1 box, and they all sell out within like less than 30 seconds.
I don't even want to think about it.
It'd be a case like, I'm queuing up. I'm the second in line for the store. Someone comes and buys all the stocks that scalp it on eBay. So you bastards.
Yep. But let's try and stay positive, and let's talk about what is going on with 10th edition on a lore level. So there was a video today put up by Warhammer community talking about where the state of play is for the galaxy. They completely glossed over the Necrons. So, yay, well done for burying...
Well done being the big bad for 9th edition. You're irrelevant now. Fuck you.
Yeah, they did mention that Angron has wiped out an entire Crusade fleet.
Yeah, apparently that was a thing in his Ark of Omen book.
Which we haven't got. But basically what's happened is that a Tyranid Hive fleet of titanic size has essentially flanked the entire galaxy and is showing up in Segmentum Pacificus.
Yeah, that tracks with like all these galactic maps from all the Nid codices, like having all of Hive Fleet Leviathan coming from underneath the galactic plane.
Yeah, well now it's arriving in Segmentum Pacificus.
Hooray!
With new
I look forward to
things,
this being
breeds,
completely irrelevant in
etc.
11th edition.
So yes, the Lord Solar himself has gone out on campaign towards Pacificus, and because the bureaucracy of the Imperium is so damn slow, it's basically rapid response stuff with Marines and Guard trying to keep the Tyranids in check at the moment.
Rapid response, but in Imperial terms, it only takes 10 years.
Yeah, Space Marines and Custodes, so it's pretty quick, but, So yes, that's what's going on lore-wise, that's the setup. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly where it goes. Hopefully it goes further than it did with the Silent King, because that was embarrassingly bad.
Yeah, it's like, the Silent King's here. He does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Silent King turns up, does nothing, leaves.
Yeah, he hasn't.
It's like, I'm just wondering from that. You ever seen Prehistoric Planet?
No.
I'm just wondering that one meme from it that has the Beelzebufo and the giant prehistoric toad. And literally, it's just like the whole meme regarding it. It's like, shows up, eats a baby, does nothing, leaves.
God's sake.
That's basically the Silent King at this point.
Yeah, he's not left, but he's not done anything. It's just not good.
By leaving, like he's left the public eye. He's just gone to do something. We don't know what.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's left relevancy. There you go.
That's a good one.
Much like most of the Xenos factions, as it seems, because everything seems to boil back down to the Imperium in one way or another. Isn't that right, Arcs of Omen and Farsight?
We'll get to that later.
Going from
I have
fangirl
scored
to
to
fan
settle with
raging.
that book. Let's finish off the other 9th edition stuff, shall we? Because they actually aren't finished. Because obviously Arcs of Omen Lion has got to come out. And for those who just can't let 9th edition go, they have given Lion 9th edition rules. I
imagine so, because he's coming out in a 9th edition book.
Yeah, but no, they are actually bothering to give him 9th edition rules. And to be honest, it's pretty terrifying.
Isn't he just basically the Green Knight of Bretonia? Like, he literally just walks through trees or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he teleports through trees.
So, let's just run the stats, shall we? Movement 8. 10 attacks base. His sword has 2 modes. In regular mode, it's Strength 10, AP minus 5, damage 4. So for context, that's 40 wounds with no armor save. Wounding everything pretty much that isn't a vehicle on 2s. So goodbye everything that doesn't have an invulnerable save. If you put it in sweep mode, it's Strength 6, AP minus 3, damage 2, but with 2 hit rolls per attack. So for context, that's 20 attacks at Strength 6, damage 2, AP minus 3, ignoring everything worse than power armor. For context, that means that if you do your standard rolling with Lion, he will be making 20 attacks hitting on 2, so that's approximately 18 hits. Wounding on, it would be 3s, which then leaves it on 12, and then 6 up armor saves. That kills an entire squad of 10 intercessors on average.
Okay. Oh, one thing I want to point out from last episode, because a few people pointed out in the comments, the Emperor's shield that the Lion has, it seems to be like an upscaled version of like the armpit guard the Emperor has on his left shoulder. Just bigger.
Yes, some people did mention that. It's
So good spot to those who actually spotted that, because I didn't even see that, so well done, everyone.
Yeah, it does say that it was once wielded by the Emperor itself, but we'll see. Exactly.
It was wielded by the Emperor's armpit to stop him from getting stabbed in the armpit, because that's one of the few places you can get unrestricted access to the heart and lungs without, being blocked by the ribcage.
Yep.
There you go.
So, the Emperor's Shield is a 4-up invulnerable save, and if you make a 6-up save against a melee attack, you do a mortal wound back.
Oof.
Up to a maximum of 3 mortal wounds per phase.
Oh, thank God they put a maximum, otherwise that'd be a bit stupid.
Indeed. And other than that, the ability you referred to is he has basically got Deep Strike. So he can just set up anywhere he wants in a movement phase, more than 9 inches away from any enemy models, and he rerolls charge rolls on the turn he does.
It's literally an embodiment of surprise, motherfucker. Boom. Got a line in your face.
It's ridiculous.
It is, yes.
So yes, Lion is broken, almost certainly broken, but 9th edition is going away anyway.
It's the end for 9th edition. They don't give a toss.
No.
So we'll make him broken. Doesn't matter. We'll just get some last minute sales before 10th drops.
Yeah, probably
That kind of thing. That's a very cynical part of me. At least with 7th edition, they had the kindness of their hearts to wait for Gathering Storm 3 to drop before announcing 8th edition.
Yeah.
It's like, here's 10th edition. Oh, he's got one more book to come to series. Fuck it. You're just gonna buy it for the Lion model anyway. No one's gonna fucking care. We're still gonna charge you full fucking price.
Of course they are.
Doesn't matter if it's going to be fucking obsolete in like 2 weeks afterwards. I'm very bitter today.
Yes, you're being very snarky.
I am very snarky. I blame these new sets of meds I'm on, because I tell you what, I've been chucking my guts up all day as well as one of the side effects from these painkillers.
Oh.
It happens. It sometimes happens, but at least I'm not, getting so fucking high as a kite. I'm not trying to fight a pigeon anymore. Because that was one thing that happened with the last set of painkillers I was on before I got used to them. Like, I got so high, I was a pigeon just staring at me from the window. I thought the pigeon was challenging me to a fight.
Oh, for God's sake!
Your body does weird things when you're on painkillers. Man, I tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. But if you're going to do something definitely weird, you could, for example, want to build an Imperial Agents army. Because they're doing that.
Isn't that just basically... Isn't the battle force with the Imperial Agents, isn't that just the Kill Team Rogue Trader box set with an added Adverser Assassin?
So, there are 2 new boarding patrols. One of them is Agents of the Imperium. It's not Imperial Agents. It contains 20 breachers, so 2 Imperial Navy breacher kill teams, the Rogue Trader kill team, the Elysidian Striders, with the Cartographica Rogue Trader, and the Adverser Assassin. And Doggo.
You got to include Doggo, yeah.
Indeed. So, yeah, it's 20 breachers, 10 Rogue Trader crew, and an Assassin, which is definitely a different box.
Mm-hmm.
The other one they're doing is the Leagues of Votan, which contains 10 basic Hearthkin, 5 Einir Hearthguard, 5 Chthonian Berserks, and an Einir Champion as well. So,
And no Doggo.
No Doggo, because they don't have Doggos. But yes, 10 basic squats, 5 big hitters, 5 heavy armor gunners, and a melee hero. So, pretty standard boarding patrol kind of stuff. It's not a shade on the far side box. Never mind.
You would say that, though, to be honest.
I'm just being bitter.
Yes.
Right.
We're both bitter today.
Yes.
Getting into the Easter spirit of being bitter bastards.
Right, so let's gush over something cool. They did a new Primaris Lieutenant, and it's actually good.
Oh, isn't that the Phobos one?
Yes, with twin blades, a chitin shoulder pad, and a combi flamer. So, yeah.
It does look very nice, in fairness. I do like the fact it's got the chitin going, not just the shoulder pad, but going down the length of the arm as well.
And it's got ichor dripping off the knife and all of that. It really, it's interesting because the Phobos Lieutenant that currently exists is actually very similar in pose, where he's got, 2 weapons in his hands and that kind of thing.
Is that the one with the smoke grenade at the base?
I can't remember. But there's a Phobos Lieutenant and a Reaver Lieutenant. The Reaver Lieutenant, I think, is the one with the smoke bomb on the base.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it is. So the Reaver Lieutenant has the smoke on the base. The Phobos Lieutenant has got what's in their hands, because I've literally got that model. Has got a knife and a bolter in their hands, and it's just a nice model. It's the model that's on the front of the combat patrol, but I can see sort of links to both of them because knife and the Reaver's head combined with a Phobos style mask, and then you've got a big weapon as well. I think it's just a really good model, to be honest.
I just realised something. Speaking of Primaris, when was the last time they did anything with Inceptors?
The flying ones?
Yeah, the ones with the astronaut helmets, yeah.
The nearest thing they've got to anything in the last, age is Dante.
And maybe Shrike as well, but that's about it. But when was the last time the actual Inceptor squads actually got anything? Because I don't think they got anything since the Dark Imperium box set, did they? The
nearest thing they've got is they got Suppressors, who are Inceptors but with heavy autocannons instead.
Yeah, and you can't even buy them separately. You can only get them as part of like a battle force or something.
They're the combat patrol. Yeah, they're the combat patrol.
Yeah, you can't buy them separately. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a bit ridiculous.
It's almost as if someone said yeah, it's really cool. No, I'm bored of it now. Fuck it.
Well, the jump packs look terrible. What can I say?
Yeah, it's no wonder with the Dante model they made it look more like the old jump pack, just with a little bit of wings.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the true area for gushing must actually come from Adepticon, because they did Golden Demon, and the standard was as high as ever, and there's just so much cool stuff here.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I want to start, to be honest. The Slayer...
top?
Well, yeah, at the top.
Stop top and go down, yeah. So the winner of the single miniature gold award for Warhammer 40,000 single miniature was it Lazarus? At Archangel Primaris? Is that his name, Lazarus?
I'm actually not sure. Yes, it is.
Hooray, I got it right.
This is also the Slayer Sword winner.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so this one won the Slayer Sword as well.
Fair enough.
There's some really good mirror effects on the metallics. You can really, it's not object source slicing or anything like that, but the mirror effects on all the metallics are really, really impressive.
I do like that. I also like the second place Jagatai Khan.
It's very good.
I'm generally surprised that only came away with silver though.
Yeah, it's
I imagine that. I thought I would have won. That's a strong contender.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely an argument for it. I think it's a much bigger model though, so it's easier to squeeze in all the detail. Plus, the model you don't have to work as hard because it's much more intricate, I guess.
And the bronze one was just a grot on a unicycle.
Yeah, that is. I admire the ingenuity and chutzpah on the model. It's really cool. Squad goes to Nicholas Mortensen with a squad of Cadians led by Creed. Sorry,
Ursula Creed.
Ursula Creed, that's the name. We
didn't say the winners. We didn't say the winner of the single miniatures. Neil Hollis.
Yes, he is also the Slayer Sword winner. You've got some Corsairs taking silver, and you've got what I can only assume to be a Necromunda gang type thing taking bronze with sort of a very Imperial official and then some hangers-on. Yeah,
because the one on the right, at the bottom of the staircase, that's the Necromundan Spider adjutant, and the one in the middle is... these were released for Necromunda, yeah. I think they're basic hired guns, yeah.
It's a really cool squad, though.
And you got the baby Warlord Titan basically winning gold for vehicle. Basically looks like it's sprinting.
Yeah, I really like the colour scheme as well with the split of the red where is Imperial and then the blue is the house colour. So you've got bits of wherever it's painted red, you can see Imperial symbols, but wherever it's painted blue, you can see the house's symbol, which is like a steed of some kind, which is a really nice consistency in the colour scheme. You've got
a Penitent engine.
The flesh on that Penitent engine pilot looks terrifying. That's extremely good detail on the flesh. And bronze is... I think that's a Leviathan, Dread.
That is a Leviathan, yeah.
Yeah, with some of the most intricate handiwork of the shoulders I think I've ever seen. The writing there must either be transfers or incredible freehand. And some great weathering on the base as well.
Yeah.
Large model, you've got yourself a Behemoth Hive Tyrant with what looks like a crystalline sword, which is really cool. And the ammo feeder for the heavy venom cannon just looks disgusting in the best way.
Yeah, it looks like it's made from tripe.
Large model silver goes to a Death Guard Lord with scythe mounted on a... I forget the name of the flies now that Nurgle gets.
Bloatfly, in it?
They're not called bloatflies, that's Fallout New Vegas. I think they have a specific name. Oh, rotflies, maybe.
Oh, close enough.
Close enough. And bronze is the Incarn, but a very green Incarn with the same sort of usual fire colours, but green armour and a pink sword.
Fair enough.
AOS single miniature goes to Andy Wardle, who is part of the Heavy Metal team, or Citadel certainly, as I recall. Who has done an incredible rendition of Glutus or Scolian, but without the palanquin.
Hang on. If he's part of the Heavy Metal team, shouldn't he not be allowed to compete in the general competition? Isn't that only for the open competition, or is there gone rid of that now?
Who is Andy Wardle? I know his name. He does...
He might be an ex-member.
He might be. Because he does have YouTube. He's on YouTube. He's got like 7,000 subs. I can't remember if he work. I don't think he does work for GW.
Right.
No, he doesn't. He's got an interview here with Vince Venturella a couple of years ago, and it says that where's the description gone? How did I lose the description? Yeah. Amazing painter, wins 2 awards, and one of the minds behind the Cult of Paint. That's who he is.
Right, okay.
So he's one of Cult of Paint. That's who he is. So he's won gold with an amazing Slanesh miniature. Honestly, I am very jealous. It looks amazing. The trousers in particular, the purple on those trousers is so good.
It actually looks like it's made from silk or something, yeah.
Silver, you've got an Abhorrent Ghoul King, along with some converted bits from God knows where. There's some real random conversions going on there, but I really like it. And bronze is an Ogre Tyrant. Nothing special there in terms of conversion, just a really, really good model. Again, the silver is really impressive. AOS unit, Michael Thomas with some Chaos Chosen.
I really like the lighting effects they've done for like the glowing on the bodies and how it's the firelight reflecting off the armor and the weapons. It looks so good.
Agreed. Silver is a Underworld's warband. I think that's they're the Nurgle one. I know their name. The Wormspat. I think they're the Wormspat. Much more muted colour palette, but that's good. It's a lot of dried, washed out tones, but it works quite well when put together. And in bronze, you've got some Nurgle heroes, 2 demons and a mortal. Again, a lot of muted colour against a very lush base, which is really quite a good contrast to have there. AOS large model, Colin Eidenschink, I probably butchered that, with Kragnos. A very different skin tone to the typical Kragnos, a lot colder. There's like a winter scheme on Kragnos, and it's really quite impressive.
I would have said autumnal myself, but...
Yeah, maybe, actually. Silver is a Mega Gargant who's just carrying away a Stormcast Prosecutor, and that's adorable. And bronze is a Mangler Squig, a single Mangler Squig, and a couple of Gobbos trying to get anywhere with it and probably failing massively.
Oh, I like the diorama. Emperor versus Horus.
With a dead Sanguinius. Benjamin Cantor, you ballsy man. It takes serious cojones to want to take that scene on in miniature. But when you've got the Horus...
It paid off, he got gold for it.
Oh god, yeah. But like... They've actually had to... what models have they used to make the Emperor? Because the Emperor doesn't have a model yet.
I know there's some third-party ones that exist, so I'm curious to see if he used any of those.
GW wouldn't have allowed it in their competition. There's no way.
I know, but... Oh, but do you remember the time when they were, like, advertising, like, oh, look at these amazing orc armies, like, how well-paid this orc army is, and half the models were third-party, they didn't realise until someone pointed out to them on Twitter.
Oh. Oops.
Could you remember? Because I had that Ghost Rider orc from Cromlech.
That rings a bell somewhere in the back of my head, but I can't remember where. Can we also point out they've entered it in the diorama category, not the duel category?
Well, it's the same category, apparently. Diorama / battle scene.
No, duel is a separate category.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you have battle scene and duel as separate categories? Because they're the same bloody thing. Aren't they?
No, diorama is just like the silver in diorama is just Cal Jericho.
No, because there's like the segment is literally called diorama / battle scene,
and yet there's a separate category underneath called duel. So
that doesn't make sense. Games Workshop, what the fuck?
I suppose
duel and battle. Like it should be diorama and then duel / battle scene.
I suppose
not diorama battle scene.
I suppose battle scene covers a diorama of more than 2 miniatures. A duel has to be between 2 miniatures.
And yet the winner of the duel is technically 4 miniatures.
It's a Mangler Squig chasing after a human. It's not. It's one.
It's a Mangler Squig with 3 Gobbos chasing a human.
I suppose. But no, I don't know why they've entered it there instead of there. Either way, it's an amazing piece of work. So,
oh, I think I know where you got the lightning claw from. I think the lightning claw's from the Corphero model.
Would it be big enough? I mean, it might well be. But no,
I think it is actually. Hang on, because the claws on the Corphero model are quite oversized.
Yeah, I think that is actually. Yeah, looking at it, I think you're right. That's come off Corphero.
I think I think they are the Corphero claws. Yeah.
Yeah, they've done some serious work to put that together. I am ludicrously impressed with the Emperor, but we'll see what the real Emperor model ends up looking like, and then I'm sure someone will definitely have another go.
If we get one in the end. Because it was teased in the Horus Heresy Black Books under Constantine Baldor's rules, but that's not mentioned since in the new second edition rules, though. So they might cancel that, I don't know.
We'll see, I suppose. So yes, as I was saying, silver in diorama is Cal Jericho, and bronze is a Genestealer cult Sanctus and a little hybrid acolyte thing, which is painted bright yellow. Fun.
Yep.
Duel, as mentioned, Sergio Calvo with a mangler squid chasing a human. Silver is Drazar. No, it's not Drazar. It's an Incubus versus a Howling Banshee, but it's not Drazar versus Janezar. And bronze is a Storm Drake guard fighting a Mega Gargant. And balancing that Storm Drake is incredibly difficult because...
It must have been pinned.
Yeah, it has to be. Middle-earth, Andy Wardle again with an Elrond. There is a silver, which is Theoden, and bronze is Gandalf. Small scale is Colin Eidenschink again with a Valkyrie from Aeronautica. There's also a Titan and a carrier ship. I forget its name from...
A tiny little dropship.
Thank you. And Youngbloods was Marnius Calgar, but I can't actually tell if that's the new one or the old one.
I think that's the new one.
I'd assume it's the new one, but I don't know. Like,
because the old one had a different pose. Because the old one, the arm was more out to the side. This one's got an arm raised.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, it's either way. It's Evan Krumlauf. I probably butchered that again. With Marnius Calgar. Silver is the one of the trolls from the Cruel Boys. It does have a name. I've just forgotten it. And bronze is Angron, a very, very good looking Angron, I have to say. If you told me that was the studio model, I would have believed you.
Open competition. I love the winner of this, the Orc Mech Boy.
Sergio Calvo, once again, with a Mech Boy type character with a big harness. Looks like he's got a cigar, or he's just got a massively deformed face. I can't actually tell.
Oh, he has a cigar, yeah. And he's got a little grot helper with him.
Yeah, who's looking at the plans. That's just sick. Open silver goes to Neil Hollis with, I think that's an Archon, not an Autarch, but I'm willing to be corrected.
It does look... It could be a Corsair Lord, because it seems to have a mix of, like, Craftworld and Drukhari elements to it.
Yeah, and there's a little hawk down there, so I think you're right.
And then there's Sigismund.
And do you notice how the sword is casting a shadow over his head?
That's a nice touch.
Like, it genuinely looks like it's been... I know this is going to sound stupid. It looks like it's been painted. Like a piece of art painted. If you look at the tones of it, it looks like it's been done on canvas.
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, I know it sounds stupid. It looks like it's been painted. No shit it has. But no, just the style of it really reminds me of like an art cover from the Heresy books. So yeah, that's the winners of Adepticon 2023 Golden Demon. There's some bloody impressive minis, I have to say. I don't know who's my favourite is, though.
I'm going to go for the Mech Boy. That's my favourite.
I'm going to go with Glutus or Scullion. It's close between that and Horus and the Emperor, but I'm going with the Slaneshi miniature, I think. But it's very, very close.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And finally, we'll be very quick, Heresy Thursday has got some retooled resin hulls for shiny plastic sprues for your tanks. So the Arquitor or Arquitor, whichever, now has some options. So the Morbus Bombard, Spicular Rocket System, and Graviton Charge Cannon with a new Sponson sprue. As well as the Super Heavy Tank can have a new Las Cannon sprue, including, for example, the Glaives Volkite Carronade, or the Fellblade Accelerator Cannon, or the Falchion Volcano Cannon, if you wish. And the Mastodon is having its hull tinkered with to suit plastic sponsons, as well as the Javelin.
Fair enough.
And the Demos Rhino can be turned into a Damocles Command Rhino as well. So yes, revamped vehicles will be resin kits with plastic sprues. That's what they're saying.
Right.
But if you want more tank stuff, you can have tank commanders. The Legiones Decurion, which are tank commanders for both Imperial Fists and the Sons of Horus, able to upgrade Predators, Sicarans, and Kratoses.
I don't know why, it just seems a bit of an odd choice to me. But it seems almost something like Games Workshop's worried about releasing too many tank stuff, tank things rather. And like, look, here's like, you know, a new infantry, quote unquote, here's a new Space Marine, quote unquote, you know, for your tanks. You know, to try and justify why they're releasing so many fucking tanks. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
I think I do.
It seems a bit like a bit like an afterthought kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it. So
and
yes.
Also, there's one last thing that was for Cursed City. They dropped some quote-unquote DLC for it today, which allows you to play as, like, Gotrek in Cursed City.
Yeah, so it's a one-man army game mode. So instead of it being, you know, taking a team of heroes, you just go in with one mega-powered hero, which is either the Light of Altharion, Gotrek, or Guard of Steel Soul, and just wreck everyone.
So basically, you just play Gotrek and have the Doom soundtrack playing in the background.
Quite. Also, Warhammer Crime is coming back.
Why?
Because, you know, the books are probably quite good. And the one on they're really putting at the front is The King of the Spoil, which has got the most metal, cyberpunky novel art I have ever seen, and I friggin' love it.
Yeah, it reminds me of something like Ghost in a Shell or something.
A little bit. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Please tell me you've seen Ghost in the Shell, at least.
I am aware of it.
Okay, that's better than you not seeing Akira. Okay, so we have some progress, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, the comments were literally like, don't make Tak watch whatever it is, don't spoil her innocence.
Oh, that was for Evangelion. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Evangelion does get very fucked up. It's a classic, but it's very fucked up at the same time.
Good to know.
You still got to watch Akira, though.
Sure, whatever.
I'm not letting this drop. I'm aware. I'll send you a DVD as a wedding present. Hey, congratulations on your wedding. Go watch Akira now.
God. But yes, anyway, Warhammer Crime is coming back. I've been saying for ages I want to read some Warhammer Crime. This might be the reminder I need to actually read some, as long as I've got the money to buy some books. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
That's it, I think. We've got through all the 10th edition stuff. We've talked a little bit about what else is going on. Yep. We're not going to talk much on Necromunda because there's not a lot to say, actually, for once. Yeah, I think... Oh, there's also a new Blood Bowl star player called Withergrasp Double Drool.
That the boy with the tentacle arm?
Yeah, it's a beastman.
Right.
With tentacles, a prehensile tail, and the tackle skill, as well as, you know, counts as having dodge, even though he doesn't.
Right, fair enough.
So, yeah, that's a thing. Not a lot to say, really. It's just another star player for Blood Bowl, and that's about it.
Fair enough. I keep saying not a lot today.
Yes.
You ever catch yourself saying the same thing over and over again when you're unscripted?
Yeah, it does happen.
Yeah. Because I find like when I'm recording like the QA videos every month, like I keep finding myself going like literally just saying like and you know.
Yeah, it does happen.
I might as well be a fucking valley girl from California. It's like whatever kind of thing. That's the worst American accent you ever bloody hear. But
God, no, it's fair enough. I mean, you've when you're not planning and you're on a live mic, you've got to like fill time, so your brain has to work through it, and sometimes you've got to put pauses in there. It's natural. But someone who hasn't really taken a pause, unlike his Primarch, would be Cypher, which I believe is your book of the podcast.
Yes, I read through the Cypher novel, so consider this your spoiler warning. If you wish to avoid spoilers, skip to the timestamp in the video description below.
You have been warned.
Now, we're entering the spoiler room brawl in 3, 2, 1. Vince McMahon fires pretty much everyone in WWE after selling the company to UFC. Anyway, God, I hope that doesn't happen, but it probably will. God. Right, before I start, this novel seemingly retcons a shit ton of events from Gathering Storm 3. Because as we know, in Gathering Storm 3, Cypher and his fallen followers, they accompanied Guilliman after breaking him out of jail from the Red Corsairs, followed them to Terra, and then Cypher was with Guilliman when Guilliman turned up at the Eternity Gate and went to visit the Emperor, but Cypher was told, no, you're coming with us, you're going to space jail.
Yep, the custodians arrested him, I recall.
Yeah. This book changes it up, so Cypher and co have been arrested before Guilliman even turned up to Terra.
So like on Luna, you mean?
The time frame of this book, Guilliman is on Luna fighting Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
We only know this because they say like the psychics have detected like a massive warp surge on Luna, and demonic presence on Luna, but the palace is still being besieged by legions of Khorne at this point. Like the second siege of Terra has already started.
Got it. Right, I'm with you with timings. Yeah.
And the Sisters of Silence haven't turned up on Terra yet either, because they mentioned about how the link between the talents is broken.
Okay.
So, also a very important thing to note about this book. The entire book is told to the viewer by Cypher. It's not... We haven't got a nebulous narrator who's like omnipotent and telling us what a character's doing. It's Cypher telling us what he and everyone else is doing.
And obviously, because it's Cypher, the word unreliable narrator doesn't even begin to cut it.
Exactly. And given that the amount of stuff that he seems to know where he realistically shouldn't be able to know, and given the amount of retcons this has in regards to Gathering Storm 3, I'm going to say this off the bat. I'm going to say that Cypher is, frankly, bullshitting his way through most of the story.
Somehow
and you'll
that
understand
wouldn't
why.
shock me.
Especially when the book begins and ends with like, hey, can you keep a secret?
Oh, God.
Cypher and a squad of 10 Fallen, they've all been captured by the Custodians, and they're in the Dark Cells, awaiting basically for Custodians to do something with them, but they can't really do anything with them because the Custodians are kind of preoccupied with defending the Imperial Palace from the legions of Khorne.
As you would do, yes.
Yeah. The only Custodians who aren't taking part in the defense so far are the Shadow Keepers, because their responsibility is to look after the shit in the Dark Cells, because, it's full of eldritch horrors and the like.
Exactly, so one job at a time.
Yeah. Cypher and the other Fallen, they've been stripped of their armor, stripped of their weapons, they're sitting in the Dark Cells. Cypher's just sitting there, looking smug, as Cypher tends to do,
Of course
because
he
he knows shit's going to pot. Because something hits the palace, there's a power surge, power cuts out, backup generators come online, but because of this faulty wiring in his cell, which Cypher somehow already knew about and how it came to pass, don't ask me how, everything shorts out, so his cell opens up, all the Fallen cells open up, and a couple of monster cells open up as well.
Oh no.
The Fallen escape, as they want to do. The main custodian who's in charge of looking after Cypher and the Fallen, a custodian named Hecaron, we see him, he basically, kills like some eldritch shadow monster, and it's like, right, let's lock everything up. Oh, where the Fallen gone? I don't fucking know. He's then approached by a sanctioned Primaris Psycho known as a Doom Scryer.
Mm-hmm.
I've forgotten her name, but she's like the main supporting character for Hecaron's part of the story.
Right.
So, in order to try and find out where Cypher and the other Fallen are heading, She does a scan of his cell, like psychic scan. Don't know how she's able to do that considering the cells are made of blackstone, but hey.
Go for it.
I imagine it's because the door is open. Or something stupid like that. So she sees like 2 visions of the future, but she doesn't know which one's going to come to pass.
Oh.
The first vision is that she sees Cypher in front of the Emperor, holding up the Lion Sword, kneeling before him, basically like offering the sword to him, for forgiveness.
Yeah.
But the other vision she has is of Cypher plunging the Lion Sword into the Emperor's body, killing him.
So we don't know what Cypher's going to do, as per usual.
Yeah, exactly. She says, like, normally it's one path that's clear, but these are both clear. These will both come to pass, effectively, even though they shouldn't. They contradict each other, but they're both apparently going to happen or something.
I mean, you could do one after the other. So he offers the sword up, the Emperor rejects him, and Cypher just leaps at him.
Potentially, but I don't think that's what they're trying to imply here. I think it's like and Hecron's like, so he's probably going to go after the Lion Sword then. Okay, where's the Lion Sword? Well, it wasn't kept here. Who has the Lion Sword?
Oh shit!
Oh, it was given to the Officio Assassinorum.
Oh, double shit!
We need to go to the assassins. But meanwhile, in orbit of Terra, there's a small Dark Angel ship that's basically travelled to Terra to basically warn Terra about what's happened on Fenris, and because of the whole Siege of Fenris thing, because Dark Angels were involved in that.
Yeah, it's a bit late. Magnus is already here. Bloody hell!
Yeah, warp travel vagaries, you know that.
I know.
And they pick up a transmission, and they mention. They somehow managed to tap into the custodian's transmissions, and they recognize the name Cypher. I was like, ooh, Cypher's on Terra. Right. We can't let the custodians find out what Cypher knows because that'll look bad on us. So, a Dark Angels librarian named Madachi, he and a group of Deathwing go and infiltrate the Imperial Palace.
Good fucking luck with that.
They're not Deathwing Terminators. The Deathwing are going in standard Dark Angels power armor, but stripped of all company and squad markings.
Again, good fucking luck with that.
Yeah. And they managed to do so because the Custodian's defense attentions are focused on the demons besieging the palace.
I mean, fair enough, but also it's the Imperial Palace.
Yeah, I know.
The only Space Marines there should be Imperial Fists, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, according to the Watch of the Throne novel, there's also some Grey Knights on Terra at the same time when this happened.
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough, Grey Knights, but, the only standard Space Marines there.
Yes, agreed. But they managed to sneak in, through a very, 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 very narrow gap in their radar defenses. How fucking convenient.
Indeed.
One of the ships actually does get shot down, though, by a missile defense system. It's like, oh, so they're not totally fucking incompetent. Okay.
No, of course they're not. They're the bloody Adeptus Custodes.
Apparently this was actually the Arbites who shut them down, but hey.
6-1.
Yeah. But they managed to land in the Imperial Palace, and they're basically going off to try and look for Cypher and Co. Meanwhile, Cypher and Co. Have gotten their weapons back, and just briefly talk about the Fallen following Cypher.
Okay, just hold. Does Cypher have the sword yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, just checking.
Because it's with the assassins.
Yeah, I know. I'm just checking because unreliable narrator and everything.
Yeah. But it's interesting about the Fallen following him. We've got a nice mix of motivations regarding the Fallen, because you have one Fallen who thinks that the Fallen themselves are the loyalists and the Dark Angels themselves are the traitors. You have one who wants to basically, redeem himself for his, treachery. And you have one who's basically a Chaos Space Marine in all but name.
Right.
So you got a nice little mix of, a ragtag group kind of thing.
Yeah. We all hate the Dark Angels, but not for the same reasons.
Yeah. They're trying to make their way through the palace because they got their weapons back, but Cypher's looking for the sword. So they're following him when he's looking for the sword. Excuse me. They ended up going past a group of refugees who like really scared. Like, black armored space marines, run away. It's like, just ignore them. We don't fucking need them. I know I've jumped ahead too far. Sorry, my mistake. Before that happens, though, they've escaped from the Dark Cells.
Mm-hmm.
How fucking convenient, I know. And they find themselves like towards a abandoned bridge, and they have to try and cross it.
Mm-hmm.
As this is happening, the Dark Angels, after making their way through, killing a whole bunch of, Astro Militarum soldiers who were stationed there and just massacring a bunch of like Administratum personnel, don't let anyone see us, bang, bang, bang. They see the Fallen, firefight erupts. One of the Fallen like plummeting down off the bridge, another one gets shot, and the rest escape though.
Mm-hmm.
The one who got shot basically is like interrogated by the librarian, basically like forms a psychic link, just try and find out where Cypher's going.
Yeah, I found
and he learns from this Fallen. It's like, right, he wants to make his way to the Eternity Gate. We need to get to the Eternity Gate.
I mean, I can understand why he'd want to go there, because that's where the Emperor will be behind if you go through there.
Yeah. And then we cut to the scene where Fallen are basically they made their way back into another section of the palace, past some refugees, but then some demons break through and start attacking the civilians, and Cypher just goes like, Fallen, with me, and they start shooting up the demons. Cypher, does the most fucking anime edgelord thing ever. Like, he shoots a whole bunch of demons, and then he crosses his guns over his arms like he does in that fucking artwork of his.
Oh, God.
It's like, blam, 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 tokusatsu pose.
You mean the guns crossed pose, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God.
Tokusatsu pose. Yeah.
You edgelord.
Yeah. Though, when I did mention that on Twitter, I think it was Alexis who actually turned around and said, like, she always thought of it as, like, he's doing the Imperial Aquila, but with guns rather than his hands, which is... I like the idea, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's one way of doing it.
But the way it's written, it comes across as so fucking anime, it's ridiculous. And this is someone who actually likes anime kind of thing, so this is stupid.
Yeah, it's like Farsight carving his way through a tank, doing a superhero, like, doing his jump out pose and a superhero landing. It's that level of anime.
While an explosion goes off in the background with cherry blossoms drifting down in front of him.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's that
Or
level
you'll
of
say
anime.
Teku plays in the background, full blast, mischievous of Alice.
Got the point. Got the point.
Sorry.
So, Cypher's being an edgelord. Moving on.
Yes. It's like, right, we need to move on. And the Chaos Spaceman is just standing there. It's like, you're right, mate. Chaos Spaceman turns around. He's been possessed. It's like, fuck, he's given himself fully over.
Blam.
Yeah, one of the other Fallen's like, snap out of it. Dead. I was like, right, shoot him. Blam. It's like, sorry, nothing we can do for him. He had to die. Right, let's go. Meanwhile, Hecaron has gone to a nearby Assassinorum temple to try and find out where the sword is. And he meets with the head of that clade, who is a Khalidus assassin.
Mm-hmm.
And their second in command, basically a character known as like the Voice of Oblivion,
Right.
who's a Calexis assassin.
Right.
And obviously because, Calexis assassin, pariah field, the Doomscribe's like, ow, painful. So,
yes, it will be, yes.
And Hecaron's like, yeah, you got the Lion Soul, we kind of need that, because we need to draw out a target. It's like, no, we're not giving it to you.
Why would they? They're the Assassinorum.
It's like, I can't, please. No. I can't. Do us a favour. No. And then Doomsguy turns around and says, hang on, the Assassinorum, once you have a kill contract, you're meant to carry it out until it's complete, yes?
Yes.
Well, considering that there's been 20 kill contracts against Cypher over the past several millennia, and you have failed to complete it each and every fucking time, and he's here on Terra... It's like, good point. It's like, yes, you give us a sword, we can use that to draw him out.
Aha.
And then you can finish him off, and it's like, you make a hell of an argument.
You son of a bitch, you got me.
Yeah. So Hecaron ends up going back into the palace, and he ends up making his way towards the Eternity Gate. Because he realizes, right, from the vision that the Doomscryer had, he wants to get to the Eternity Gate. So if we go there, we can catch him.
Yep.
He'll come to us, basically. If we have the Lion Sword and we're there, he'll come to us.
Yep.
So Hecaron's basically waiting in the shadows by the Eternity Gate, and assassins are in place, and he hears the distinctive hum of power armor getting closer to the gate. It's like, aha.
It's going to be the random Dark Angels, isn't it?
Hecaron comes out and is like, that's far enough. That's far enough. You stop right there. And it's Madachi, the librarian, is like, we've been rumbled, lads.
Called it.
And Madachi's like, it's a custodian, but we can't let him know what we know. Kill him. So the Dark Angels start opening fire on the custodian.
You fucking idiots. The custodians will kill the lot of you in half a heartbeat.
Well, correction. The custodian killed 6 of them in as many seconds.
Yep.
Then Madachi basically uses his powers to basically hold him in place, kind of like a gravitational storm kind of thing, just hold him in place. Hecaron's just still powering through, as if you're trying to wade through deep water. He's just powering through it. And then the Dark Angels basically just pick a pair of missile launchers, blam, blam, blam. He's down, lads. Come on, let's go. Now, the reason why Cypher wasn't there is because Cypher told the Fallen who was dying where they weren't going.
Lol.
So basically it's like, aha, I knew you were going to scan his mind, which is why I didn't tell him where I was actually going.
Lol.
I'm going through the Eternity Gate through an underground passageway. How fucking convenient.
Lol.
Yeah. So they go... So Cypher and co have basically made their way into the Eternity Gate, and there's a bridge towards another gate. Behind that gate is where the Emperor actually is.
So it's like the Eternity Gate, I believe it's called.
The what, sorry?
I think I saw this. There's a thing called the Silver Gate or something.
Silver Door or something.
Yeah, I saw this in a recent lore or article somewhere about a lore thing.
It might be. I can't remember off the top of my head because it's been over a week since I read the book, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Dark Angels, Madachi, Sergeant Nerial, and 2 others, they make their way inside, and they see Cypher standing on the bridge. And Madachi's like, we finally have you, traitor. You will repent, but before you do, I will ask you why. And Cypher's like, why what? Why did you betray your legion? I didn't betray the legion. If anything, you are the traitors.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, Dark Angel, Cypher turns around. It's not fucking Cypher. It's the other Fallen. It's like, oh fuck. Madachi's like, that's not Cypher. The assassins hiding up who follow them in, follow them in. It's like, that's not Cypher. Because the assassins that have been dispatched are the Kalidas and a Vindicare.
Right.
The Kalidas basically had fucked off this point. That's not Cypher. Fuck, I'm done. The Vindicare is basically still hiding there, just watching everything through their, sniper rifle. They hear a noise above them. They look up. There's a Fallen above them going, hi, blam. Gets a drop of the fucking Vindicare, but before Vindicare dies, she gets a shot off with her executioner pistol and kills the Fallen at the same time.
Right. A 1-for-1 between a Fallen and an assassin is a good trade.
Oh, yeah. They do point out how the Vindicare was effectively, quote-unquote, a rookie.
It doesn't make a difference.
No, I know, but even so, still impressive. Madachi looks up and says, why is there gunfire going up above us? And gets charged by the Fallen, this one called Kalariel. So Madachi and Kalariel end up having a sword fight. And while this is happening, the other Fallen pop out of hiding and start blaming the Dark Angels. Gunfire erupts. All the Fallen end up dying. Kalariel ends up getting killed by Madachi after he because Kalariel was dominating Madachi in the fight because Madachi is in a lot of pain because his very proximity to the Emperor, is basically effectively screaming non-stop into his mind.
Yeah, it's going to do that. Yep.
So that's why he wasn't able to fight, at full consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Kalariel ends up getting killed because he ends up hesitating at the last minute to kill Madachi, and Madachi just stabs him in the face. So it's just Madachi and Nerial And it's like, Brother Librarian, are you okay? I'm fine. Oh, good. Nariel's head explodes. And Cypher comes out of hiding with his fucking plasma pistol. It's like, hi, I'm Cypher. I just killed your friend. What are you going to do? It's like, I will make you repent. Yeah, I don't think so. Blam.
Yeah, I can picture that happening as like a slow-mo walk from out of the shadows. Again, anime style, just a slow-mo walk, talking a very quiet, somber tone that just conveys menace and I am going to your shit up.
Yeah. At this point, Cypher does have the lion sword again now. He basically got it from one of the assassins. So it's implied he killed the Kalidas, if I remember correctly. But he does have the lion sword at this point.
Right.
Meanwhile, cutting back to Hecaron, who was shot multiple times with bolter fire and missiles.
But he's still not dead because custodian bullshit.
Pretty much. He's having like some kind of hallucinatory vision caused by him dying. And he's basically like on a beach, blood red sea, blood red sky, and he sees the voice of Oblivion, the Collector's assassin from earlier, talking to him. But it's not actually them because, Collector's assassin is not going to be doing psychic telepathy shit because, blanks and all that.
Yep.
And the voice of Oblivion basically turns around, says to the effect of, it must come to pass or whatever, and gets a vision and gives Hecaron a vision of like a really frail old man sitting in a chair in pain, implied to be the Emperor.
Yep. And
then the visions from the Doom Scryer, the offering up the sword, forgiveness, and stabby, and all that. Basically, it must come to pass, but which one must come to pass, we don't know. Ooh, spooky.
Vague.
So he gets up, hauls himself up, his armor's buggered, he's bleeding, he's dying, but he gets up, walks his way into the Eternity Gate. Cypher's standing in front of the gate, he's about to go through, Hecaron blocks his path. It's like, you will not pass. And Cypher basically just goes, okay, and fucks off.
Fucking really? He just fucks off?
Pretty much, yeah. And it's implied that mentally, the Emperor psychically told Hecaron to let Cypher go. And then like a couple hours later, Hecaron dies. And then Cypher is apparently caught again by a couple more custodies. And the book ends was like, hey, can you keep a secret? And it's like, such a fucking anticlimactic ending. It really is.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
I'll say this about the Cypher book. Of all the books I've read this year, this was one of them.
Yeah, it reminds me, what was the book? It's like the book with, was it the Servo Skull Murderer? Where
the Bookkeeper's Skull, yeah.
It just fumbles the landing so hard. Like
I will say this though. I love the Bookkeeper's Skull. I think it's a great book. Stupid twist at the end aside, it was a great book. But this, it seems a bit all over the place in terms of consistency. Like, there are some bits that are good, some bits that make you go like, the fuck?
I mean, it is Cypher. It's supposed to be a the fuck kind of story because it's Cypher, but at the same time, he's got out of the Dark Cells in order to retrieve the Lion Sword and go through the Eternity Gate, only to get to the Eternity Gate and then bugger off when a custodian asked him nicely. What? No. No. Like, Cypher's promiscuous and temperamental.
He's promiscuous?
That's the wrong word, I know.
I was going to say, like, whoa, what book were you reading?
Superfluous and just flits around from one alignment to the next. But, like, he's just said, I am going to the Eternity Gate. Gets there, kills everyone in his way. A custodian who his mates killed 20 minutes ago does not...
No, it was the other Dark Angels.
Well, whichever.
It wasn't his mate.
Whichever. Killed 20 minutes ago, says no, says, okay, bye. So...
It's like, I'm just reminded of, have you ever seen Metal Gear Awesome?
No.
That old Ego Raptor animation. It's like, I'm going to get into this hind now. It's like that.
Just, yeah, I'm sorry, that's just fumbled the landing. Hard.
And bear in mind, this entire book is told from Cypher's point of view. So he could be deliberately, like, hiding things. But again, I reiterate what I said earlier. I think this entire story is him just bullshitting.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's like have you ever played Mortal Kombat 4?
No.
Right, because there's a character in that called Jarek, and he's involved in 3 character endings. Like, for his ending, Sonya Blade's ending, and Jax's ending. Now, in Sonya's ending, he tries to tackle Sonya off a cliff. Sonya dodges out of the way, he falls off the cliff and goes, and dies. In his ending, he charges Sonya dodges out of the way, then he grabs Sonya by the leg and pulls her off the cliff. And then Jax's ending, he basically, like, pulls Sonya off the cliff, then Jack grabs him by the front and throws him off the cliff. So it's like, I think it's like none of that actually happened. He's just basically just bullshitting, trying to make himself look tougher, kind of thing.
Yeah, like the other option is that Cypher genuinely does not remember, because
possibly
the idea being that he got in, and it was so intense it either drove him out, or the Emperor wiped whatever conversation they had, and he was just found almost wandering the halls, kind of in a stupor, with no idea how he got there.
Considering that the implication that the Emperor spoke directly to Hecaron, via telepathy, under the guise of the Voice of Oblivion, it's kind of implied that the Emperor also said something to Cypher, not actually explicitly stated, but there is some implication there. But like, it just seems, I mean, it does explain why in 8th edition, the 8th edition was a Dark Angel's Codex or the Chaos Codex, 1 or 2 basically said like, he went to Terra based during Gathering Storm, and then he was next seen in halfway through fucking Segmentum Obscurus.
Yeah.
Just basically fucking away across the galaxy. But like, again, a lot of the story contradicts the events that happened in Gathering Storm 3. Again, I don't know if they're just retconning it, or the fact that because this is, unreliable narrator, it's just like, did Gathering Storm happen, or did this happen, or is this bullshit kind of thing?
Yeah, I think if I were to rewrite it how it should have ended style, I would have had it be that he was about to walk through the Eternity Gate. He dispatched the Custodian, he was about to go through, and suddenly Guilliman. Like, if you're going,
that would have been better.
If you're going to keep the story as retconning GS3 that Cypher was already there, then have Guilliman's arrival drive Cypher off, or they flush him just before he's about to walk in. You, Dark Angel, or something, and they stop him, or something. But I don't think...
It's like, we meet again kind of thing. It's like, I broke you out of space prison. Yes. Now you're going into space prison. Fuck.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, so I would have had Guilliman be the catalyst for Cypher not getting in. Or I would have potentially had it of, let's keep Gathering Storm as it was, and have it that Cypher is taken after the events of Luna. So we've just scrapped the entire book and set it after the events of Luna. Everything else play out the same way, but the Primarch is already there, and have it be that Cypher, gets there as Guilliman is coming out of his session with the Emperor or something. So like he or something.
Alternatively, end it with him just going in and you don't know what happens. Just leave it there. It's like, did he get stopped by the Custodians who were in there with the Emperor, or did he actually? Because obviously there's at least a couple of Custodians who stand next to the Emperor at all times, isn't there?
Yes.
The companions.
Yes.
So it's like if you just it was like now we will see what happens. Opens the door and he just ends with him opening the door and that's it, kind of thing. That would have been a cool way to end. It was like, what happens next? What happens next? And then it's like cuts to it's like got caught.
Yeah, and then cut to him in the dark cells again of just like, well, I did what I needed to do. End.
It's like, well, I tried.
Yeah,
and I tried, but did I succeed?
Yeah, or even how it cut to the Doom Squire in the epilogue going, the vision has come to pass. Which one? Yeah. Or something. I just have it, leave it ambiguous that Cypher succeeded, but we don't know how, would be the other way to end it.
I also just noticed we keep calling him Cypher rather than Cypher. It's like, it's a fucking Pokemon. He's going to Terra so he can evolve into a Sizzle.
Well,
Cypher!
I'm sure that lion will want to, put the lion sword back together and chop him up like a pair of scissors with all the torture he's caused the Legion. But
unless you're going by the events of Eye of Ezekiel, and where Cypher's plan was orchestrated by the Lion, because Ezekiel had a vision of like the fall of Caliban, and Lion lying there dying. It's like lion. Fucking that's half to say. Johnson lying there dying. There we go. That's much better. And before he goes away with the Watchers, off to the farm, he tells Cypher something, and Cypher fucks off.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things with Lion coming back that is going to be really interesting is what happens with the Fallen and what happens with Cypher. Like, Cypher. Forget Luther. I'm actually not that bothered about Luther at this moment in time because Luther's just gone.
Don't worry, no, it's Games Workshop. Hey!
Accurate. But like, I can live without Luther's storyline being resolved for a couple of editions until they're ready to do it. But I want to know a little bit, not the whole thing. I want to know, where does Lion stand on Cypher? Like, does he state Cypher is a rogue element, but he is not a traitor? Or is it, no, the Lord Cypher has deviated too far and must be taken down? Or is it going to be something like, no, find him, bring him to me, and we will see what he has to say? I want to know what Lion wants to do with Cypher. Like, does he want him dead? Does he want him reintegrated? Does he want him captured? Does he want to shake his hand? What does he just want his fucking sword back? What does he actually want from Cypher?
Where'd you leave the keys?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Either way.
Dude, where's my car? There's a deep cut reference.
Ouch. But yes, either way, I want them to resolve Lion and Cypher somewhat. I'm not saying, oh yeah, Cypher's just a loyalist now. Woohoo! And the quest for the Fallen is, over. They don't have to be so secretive about it because the Lion's back, so, some of them will come back anyway. And if they don't, well, they were too far gone anyway. Like, don't do that. Don't resolve the Fallen storyline. It's the only thing that makes the Dark Angels even remotely fucking interesting. But, sorry, Dark Angels fans, your Legion is boring.
Right, you're right.
Your Legion is fucking boring.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, they're more interesting than the Black Templars, at least.
The Black Templars are more one note, but at the very least, that makes them interesting because they're so different to everybody else. The Dark Angels are just...
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Can you name, with the exception of Hell's Reach, because that's the outlier, can you name one good Black Templar story?
They haven't written any others.
They've written a few Black Templar stories.
Have they?
Yes. That proves how good they are.
Yes, and how many good Dark Angels novels are there? Looks awkwardly at, what's it called?
Well, there was Deathwing, the William King one.
Well, that's Bill King. He can't write bad.
Exactly. So that's 1 point straight away. The Tale of Two Heads Talking. That's a great story.
But most of the big stuff, like the Luther novel, bombed.
The Luther novel was fine.
Fine. The Cypher novel, meh.
The Cypher novel is like, I don't know how to grade this other than it is a book.
The Lion novel wasn't that great either, was it?
Well, the Primarch series one. No, that was stupid in places. Like, oh, by the way, the Dark Angels have a pet squad of men of iron. What? Yeah, and there's a tech marine who follows them around with an off switch going, do I say I'll press the off button?
Yeah, and then you've got...
I wish I was making that up!
And then you've got the entire, Azrael book arc where, the fall of Caliban's a fucking time paradox. No.
Oh,
so, no. Shocking. And then you've got bloody Angels of Caliban or Angels of Vengeance, whatever it's called. The worst book you've ever read.
Descent of Angels.
That's the one.
Oh, no. It's no longer the worst book I've ever read. I've read worse than that. But
the Conrad Curse novel, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's on that bar.
Yeah, exactly. So the Dark Angels have just got a lot more material, but most of it is ass. Like, the Black Templars don't have a lot of novels, but the one good one they have is one of the best novels ever written.
Yeah, which is why I say it's the outlier.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because you compare it to any other Black Templar story, and most of them are crap. Sorry.
What about the Hellbreak novel? That was okay, wasn't it?
I've not read that one yet.
Oh, I thought we discussed that one, or am I just getting that confused with the Sigismund one?
you're getting confused with the Sigismund one. Because remember, the Sigismund one, that was a bit weird. The whole thing about like, oh, by the way, Fafnir ran here on Terra, prior to the, the Great Crusade, even though he was born in fucking Imwit.
Yeah, make that make bloody sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The best bit about the Sigismund novel was the fact that he was drafted into the Legionia Astartes by a fucking Night Lord.
But at least the Dark Angels have one more shot at redemption because the Lion's getting a 40k novel too. What's it called? Son of the Forest, I think. So
was it? I thought it was called Sleeps Tonight. Go on, goes the head desk.
Ow. You probably didn't pick that up on your microphone, but it's definitely...
I didn't, no.
It's definitely picked up on my sound system. Ow.
You might want to do it again because I didn't hear it.
Shut up. My head hurts. Oh, God.
And I'm the one with painkillers.
Semantics. Anyway, yeah, so the Cypher novel was mid, and we need to close spoilers because we've been going on about it for half an hour.
Yeah. I still can't believe Vince grew a moustache, though. It looks weird on him.
Yeah.
It's a bold choice, for a man accused of what he's done to grow a moustache like that. Bold choice.
Bold choice.
Bold choice.
Yes.
Anyway.
I have not done any reading of late. I'm hoping to do some...
I was wondering if you got around to the next Dawn of Fire yet.
No, I haven't bought any books. I've got a list of books I want to buy, but I'm also, budgets.
Broke.
So,
yeah, understandable.
It's one of those of like, we've done the wedding and, I want to buy a house now. Well, not buy a house, but move house. So I've just got a lot of budgeting to do. So one job at a time, and unfortunately books go out the window.
Yeah. Fuck, that reminds me, I've got to call the bank in regards to fixed mortgage rates.
Oh, fun.
Adulting is fun. Yeah.
Adulting is fun, everybody. Don't grow up.
No. Well, some people don't anyway, but anyway.
Accurate. But yes, something we didn't get to do last episode because, we spent so much time drawing with Thunder, which was great, by the way, I'm not knocking it, is we didn't do any questions, did we?
Or the episode before.
Oh God, we're 2 episodes behind on questions. Right, I'm going to have to do some trawling. Hold on. So, open you and
Hold
that.
up.
Yep. Stop. Wait a minute. I need the fresh one as well. So, okay, there's 2 episodes of questions that I've got up. I will start with the most recent and work our way backwards.
Makes sense.
So, I don't think there were many questions, to be completely honest, in the last episode. There was lots of conversation. There's one here that says, who do you think's the next Loyalist Primarch back now that we've got the Lion?
Hopefully
Russ.
none of them.
They're going to do it, though.
No, if I had to pick, I'd say Chagatai, purely because he has been teased in Ashes of Prospero, so...
Yeah.
When Yao Stormcaller had your visions, like he saw the sleeper entombed in rock, obviously Lionel Johnson, and the white giant on the chariot of lightning, Chagatai Khan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be Russ. Oh, I forgot what we forgot to do, and this question has just reminded me.
What?
The Farsight novel book thing.
The Farsight, oh yeah, do you want to have your rant?
Right. I am working under spoilers only because I have been told by Rem rather than reading it myself because I have not had the chance to go and buy it for the aforementioned stock issues.
And I will also say this, I've not read through it myself yet, I'm just going purely by what I've seen people talking about it online, which is basically going me ranting on Twitter about it, like, what the fuck kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, for pure transparency's sake, we may be wrong when we actually get round to reading it. We're just going off what we have heard. We have not had a chance to read this yet, so we might be wrong. We're throwing it out there now.
Yes. The main thing is, everything that we actually said about, the talisman thing and the hexagrammatics on Farsight's armor and how it can't be Dark Angels because it's just a fucking coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was actually the case. Apparently, the talismans of Arthas Moloch are Dark Angels artifacts.
Yeah, which apparently came from, like, a ship that's over 10,000 years old or something. So, again, we've not read the books ourselves to confirm. So we could be just making asses of ourselves right now. So
yes.
Keep that in mind.
But the bit you've shown me does seem to imply that the Dark Angels are involved somewhere in this book.
Hopefully, when we get around to reading it, hopefully it's just a very lazy justification of tying it into the Lion book or something, and the Vashtor book. Hopefully it's just a very lazy way of tying it together. But if it's true, then that's some bullshit.
Yeah, that's the thing that I really wanted to rant about. Apparently, actually, a lot of what's been said is not that bad. So apparently Oblotai dies. He's a clone. No, he's an AI. Don't care. AI engrams can be remade. Fine. Brightsword dies. He's a clone. No one cares. Bravestorm dies.
Fabius Bow will complain about that.
Okay. Maybe, but, he was like the 7th edition of Brightsword. No one cares.
Just like before he came. Hey!
Bravestorm dies. He was on life support anyway because of everything he'd already done. With the greatest of respect, I care, but also if someone was going to die, it was probably best to be him anyway because he was already on death's door. So, fine, I can live with that. Nazdreg dies. Boo for Orc players, but also, did you really expect Nazdreg to walk out of this one?
Yes. Because I like Nazdreg.
Yeah, but it would just be a bit pointless. Like, if you're going to do a book like this,
the thing is, Nazdreg is the second biggest Orc warlord behind Ghazghkull. He's the second most prominent. It'd be like, having, I don't know, just randomly killing off Azrael. Because, he got into a fight alongside with, Marnius Calgar against, some Eldari or something.
They killed Ragnar, and it's only through Polaris.
Yeah, and brought him back to life.
Yes, I know, Polaris bullshit is a thing. But, to be honest, we had a whinge, didn't we? We had a big complaint about Gathering Storm not having consequences. No one important died apart from Jaren Kell. And yeah, I know Biel Tan died, and yeah, I know Cadia died. That's important. But in terms of characters we know and are invested in, the biggest death in Gathering Storm was Jaren Kell. At the very least, they have bothered to kill some people who are important.
Agreed. Though it would be nice if they actually killed someone who had a fucking model.
That would have helped, but to be honest, that would have required them to do new models for everybody. The only people that could die in that context was Farsight. And only Farsight.
And they bring him back as an AI for his new model. There you go.
They already did that with Aunvar. So, no.
So Aunvar's Windows 95, this is Windows XP.
But yes, speaking of Farsight, this is the bit that's really interesting because I remember going on a rant of please don't do Chaos Tau, please don't do Chaos Tau. And it was one of my most viral tweets of the year. Basically, they almost did it. They really teased Chaos Tau. Apparently, Farsight summoned demons. But he's...
Or attempted to.
Or at least tried. And somehow is not gone Chaos. Apparently, he called the Tau Empire for reinforcement, and they told him to fuck off and die, which is completely on theme, because, it's not like Farsight hasn't helped them. Oh, wait. It's not like Sho is still proven to be loyal to the cause of the greater good. Oh, wait. It's not like, Farsight is working actively against the Tau Empire. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
But yes, the Tau Empire told him to fuck off and die, which peeves me. Why couldn't Shadow Sun have been home to take the call? Because that would have been a really interesting conversation. Ditto Aun-Shi.
In fairness, Aun-Shi's stuck in Kimura, and Shadow Sun is busy with the Startide Nexus.
Oh, I know why they're not there. I accept that. But that's the conversation I'm actually interested in. Like Farsight talking to the Ethereals is a waste of time. Farsight talking to the main brainwashed Empire is a waste of time. So, there's only a couple of people that are actually worth bothering to talk to who are still alive and sensible and, around. And that's Kais, Shasera, and Aun-Shi. Case has gone mad. Shas is away, and Aun-Shi's trapped elsewhere. So there was no interesting conversation he could have with the Tau Empire. They had seen a signal coming for the Enclaves and ignored it.
The funny thing is, though, where Aunshi disappeared was on Arthas Moloch.
Oh. Wait, no, wait, really?
Yeah. It was Arthas Moloch where Aunshi disappeared because he went to Arthas Moloch and there was a small Earthcast settlement there, studying like the ruins and that. And then they found like a webway gate. The webway gate activated and some Drukhari started pouring through.
Oh. Right, fair enough. I'd forgotten that bit. But yes, anyway.
So if there was a chance to bring Aunshi back, that was the opportunity they had to do it.
Yeah, that was the chance for just, again, webway gate and the Drukhari.
Aunshi's back, baby!
Yeah.
New model.
Yeah, they could have brought Aunshi back there. But yes, Farsight has not gone Chaos. It was bloody close, apparently, but he's not gone Chaos, which is a relief, if I'm completely honest, because, to be honest, more guys fighting for Chaos is not what anybody needs right now. There's already enough of that. And
in fairness, though, I wouldn't mind seeing some Chaos Xenos at some point.
I mean, yeah.
Rather than just humans, you know?
Yeah, so, Chaos Tau, Chaos Orcs, etc. I'm not opposed to. It's just a case of I personally don't want it to be like a big character. I'd rather it be a background detail, kind of like Gay Vesa. I'd love a Gay Vesa hero, but I understand why they're not doing it. It's the same why there isn't a human in the Genestealer Cult's army. They're all proper hybrids. There's not like an ally sympathizer type thing.
Well, strictly, there is in Necromunda, because there was a special character who's like a Magus Biologist, who's like a hired gun for Genestealer cults, even though he himself is not a Genestealer. But like he is, but he isn't kind of thing, because he was killed, but his DNA was reconstituted by the hive mind, and he keeps coming back. But he's not technically a hybrid. He's just a person who helps Genestealers. It's a bit weird, but it's Necromunda, so we can get away with that shit.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we don't get any more of the Imperial Armor books, because I reckon they could have actually put, a Gay Vesa hero in an Imperial Armor book, so that would probably be the place where you would get it. Because I'm pretty sure the Taros campaign actually had rules for Gay Vesa troops to play in the actual tabletop sense.
True, actually.
I think it was Taros campaign. The one that was Imperium versus Tau.
Yeah, that was Taros, yeah.
I'm still pissed we're not going to get Fires of Syraxis, which is going to be Admech versus Tau, and allow us to use things like Vorax Automata and 40k. Bastards.
Indeed.
Because that was about to be released, and 8th edition draw was like, oh, it's fucking invalid now. Thanks, bastards.
But no, either way, Farsight has not gone Chaos as far as I'm aware, but it sets the problem is I think we're in the same position as we were, is how does this fit into the storyline? It doesn't. It's just a random snippet, kind of exactly like it was for Shas in Psychic Awakening. It didn't do anything. It was just a campaign. The Tau won-ish, or is stuck in a bit of a draw state. The hero goes through some sort of arc where they're faced with an intractable challenge that they must overcome, whether it's mental or physical or whatever, and end. I need to read the back end of it, after the dust settles. Where are they? What's going on? But I'm concerned that they've basically just thrown Farsight into a book for the sake of giving him a model and not actually bothered to do anything with the plot. They've just used Arcs of Omen as an excuse to shove out a new Farsight model and made up a bullshit backstory that doesn't actually go anywhere, where, Farsight was tempted by the powers of chaos and Arthas Moloch again, but he didn't fall, so it's fine, carry on as normal, but he's got a new suit.
Yeah, it seems like one of these things they tease changing the status quo, and then the status quo just returns to normal kind of thing. With the exception of Magic.
See also everything prior to Cicatrix Maledictum and everything after Cicatrix Maledictum. The Great Rift is the only thing that has changed the status quo ever in the last 10 years.
Arguably, yeah.
Yeah, you've got returning Primarchs. Okay, has that changed the balance of the galaxy? No, because the Cicatrix Maledictum is what caused the Chaos Surge. Nothing else. It wasn't the return of Magnus. It wasn't the return of Mortarion. It wasn't the return of Guilliman. It was the breaking of the Blackstone Fortresses. The Pylons at Cadia, arguably. And everything else just sort of fell into place around it. Does the Necron return anything? No.
No.
Will the advance of the Tyranids actually cause any substantial changes in the galaxy? No.
Probably not.
Will the Lion's return have a substantial impact on the running of the Imperium day to day and affect the way the game is played as a result?
Probably not.
No. Has Magnus done anything apart from nearly blow up Fenris, but he failed again because Chaos is never allowed to win? No.
He brought Saltiarius from the warp into the real space.
Yeah, did that do anything to the 40k universe as a whole? No.
It did. Well, did it bring about Psychic Awakening?
Was it the movement of Saltiarius that did that?
He was involved in that, wasn't he? Psychic Awakening. It was basically his machinations, wasn't it? Because wasn't that his plan, basically trying to speed up human evolution to make him more psychic or something?
Maybe, but if it was, it's a throwaway plot point buried somewhere in one of the arcs of the Psychic Awakening books that I don't even remember. At
the end of the day, it's basically like, he tried. He tried to do something.
Yeah.
He fucking failed because it's fucking Magnus, but...
But it's like everything, and I feel like we're doing the bitter thing again. It just feels like, and this is something that we've said before, and someone said it in a comment in the last episode as well. GW is great with setup. Really good at setup. But the payoff is terrible. Because
I just realised. GW's Vince Russo.
That's harsh.
Great at doing setup, but shit with payoffs. It's like, Survivor Series 1999. Was it 2000? One or two. Stone Cold Steve Austin gets hit by a car. Who's the driver? It was a brilliant setup, and it turns out to be fucking Rikishi. What?
Yeah. But at least with
it's the same thing.
Yeah, I know. I get what you mean. But I think the difference there is that GW don't actually do any. It's not that they do a bad payoff. It's that there is no payoff. Like, a thing happens. What does that mean? Nothing. What does that change? Very little. Does anyone else care outside of, like, the next star sector? No.
No.
Like, literally, the battle that is still going on is still Guilliman versus Abaddon. The Silent King, Lion, and this massive Tyranid fleet are just fucking inconveniences getting in the way of the big boss showdown just to slow the game back down so that it doesn't all end.
The Silent King's not even that. The Silent King just turned up and then fucked off to somewhere to catch up on episodes of Neighbours or something. Like, he just showed up and did nothing.
Yeah. And this Tyranid swarm, yes, the Tyranids are a big fucking deal that's going to cause the Imperium a lot of problems, but I can bet you a lot of brownie points that they will not reach Segmentum Solar. Ever.
Aside from those Gene Stealer cults, but that's...
No, but you know what I mean? That massive swarm that's bigger than anything ever encountered with new strains and all that, it's not going to ever get to Segmentum Solar, because as soon as it does... everything outside of Segmentum Solar does not matter anymore, because literally the Zerg are at the door. This is it. And if Segmentum Solar goes down, that's it. And they can
bring back 40k reboot Age of Emperor.
No, they can never, ever kill Sol. And that's the problem that I've had with 40k since, like, 7th. And this is what Sigmar has allowed itself to do. Now, Sigmar has the same problem 40k does. In that, a big bad shows up, it goes away to make room for the next one. But here's the fucking difference. Let's take first edition to second edition. What was the catalyst for that change? Nagash and the Necroquake. It did not affect the Stranglehold of Chaos, but a swathe of death magic flew over and the factions of death became much stronger. And what stopped it? Teclis beat Nagash in a magic fight with a lot of help. And that drove the powers of death back, and Alarielle took advantage of that to cast her life spell, which caused life to bloom in the face of death, but had a side effect of sending the realm of beasts a little bit haywire, and now we have the rise of Gur, Kragnos, etc. Because there were earthquakes and other things that caused Kragnos to be freed when he really shouldn't have been. Also partly triggered by Bellacor's machinations. And when that's over, that will probably end in a big showdown, probably between Kragnos and somebody like Lord Croak, because the savagery of the Seraphon versus the savagery of Kragnos, and Kragnos will be driven back. He won't be defeated, he won't be imprisoned, he might get defeated, but it will drive something back. The Seraphon will do some big bullshit magic to try and regulate the land according to the Old One's plan, and that may cause a big friction with the Lumineth, for example, and drive Malerion out into the open, thus causing the elves to be the big problem as an Order Civil civil war breaks out. And they can do that because A, we don't know how big the realms are. There is endless scope. B, you actually have to beat the villain to bring the next one in. G-dubs. And on top of that, it's never that they're defeated forever. They're not killed. Like, it's like, let's take 40k for an example. Let's do the same thing again. 8th edition ends in a titanic showdown where Guilliman is at the front line and Abaddon comes to meet him. Let's say at Vigilus. Forget Calgar a second, it's Guilliman and Abaddon. And Abaddon doesn't run away when he's got Calgar on the ropes because the vengeful spirit got attacked and he had sad. No, the reason that Guilliman beats his ass just badly enough that Abaddon is forced to teleport out, like he did when he fought Celestine, and as Guilliman pushes through to pursue, suddenly he finds the Silent King waiting for him, and the reports come through, etc. And then the Silent King comes in, and in that battle, Angron comes in, he's doing all his shit, but that could be in Imperium Sanctus, but Imperium Nihilus, which is where Silent King is, Lion deals with it, because his return is set off, and in his death, or his defeat as he is banished away to be rebuilt, the Silent King sort of projects a galactic map that sees, actually, I was right all along. You should have listened to me. I was trying to deaden the psychic power of the galaxy so we can deaden the hive mind because the Tyranids are right in there. And now there's a giant swarm of Tyranids to face down. Do you see the difference?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Make it like sorry, go on.
Sorry to interrupt, but considering the time, we might want to try and answer at least one or two more questions.
Yes, sorry, I got sidetracked. Right. There were no questions on the Thunder episode that I actually thought would be worth doing, so I'm going to jump across. Who is more interesting, Farsight or Magnus? Farsight, because Magnus can never win.
Yeah. I mean, Magnus has a great backstory, but he's just like, he's gone to the point like, here's my setup, and I have no payoff.
Yeah, I see everything we've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Right. So
he was Vince Russo'd.
He
is an Araman on a pole match. Sorry.
Sorry. Yes. Are there such things as Xenos Perpetuals?
Oh. I've not seen any, unless you want to count. No, that doesn't count. No. No, I don't think there's been any that's been documented. I know there have been Xenos blanks documented, but not Perpetuals.
Fair enough. That is a question about the fight between the Emperor and Horus. Wait for the end of the death, part 2. For
those wondering about the Xenos blanks, there was one mentioned in the novel Pandorax.
True. That's just a tree falls in a forest, but no one's around to hear it, but written in Orc, so... okay.
The answer is needs more DACA, there you go.
Yeah. There's actually not a lot in terms of questions at the moment. There's a lot that we're talking. There's a few here talking about like Lion and Arxibome and Farsight because it hadn't come out at the time. There isn't a lot in terms of questions that have come in, and on the Thunder episode, sort of same thing. Like, what have we actually got? We talked about the Loyalist Primarch thing. There's one about Arxibome and Farsight. One actually asked, do you think he'll find the Aun Shi outpost in the Webway while he's on Arthas Moloch? He didn't.
Apparently not, no. It would have been nice if they found Aun Shi's outpost, but no, apparently not. Yeah. It's almost as if, like, you know, people forget things that have been established in the lore previously.
Indeed.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, the only one that's left is it possible that certain Primarchs had undiagnosed neurological disorders that the Emperor simply ignored for the sake of his plan, pointing out Perturabo in particular?
Knowing the Emperor, more than bloody likely.
Yeah, the Emperor is not known to give much of a shit about most of the Primarchs.
Because, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of them had PTSD of some kind.
Oh yeah, Angron almost certainly did.
So I mean, potentially even the Lion could have, because he was involved in the fucking Rangdan Xenocides, which is like the most bloody conflict the Imperium experienced, prior to the Horus Heresy. So I can imagine that could have had some sort of toll on his mental state.
Yeah, undoubtedly. And
Kurz,
yeah,
because
he'll have all sorts going on in his head.
Yeah, because like the implication with Kurz is that he has something akin to like dissociative identity disorder or something like that.
Okay.
Just because of there's like I'll try and remember it, but yeah, that's like the main one that's implied with him.
Yeah, that makes sense. The person in the comments suggests particularly that possibly Perturabo has ASD or Asperger's potentially, but I'm not experienced enough to comment. I don't have enough knowledge there to say for certain. Yeah.
In answer to the question, it's more than possible. And considering how shit a father the Emperor was, he probably's like, you have problems, I don't care, do what you're told, kind of thing.
Yeah, he doesn't give a damn at all.
No, they are tools, remember, at the end of the day to him. They will always be tools in the Emperor's eyes.
In both meanings of the word. So, yeah, there isn't a lot of questions I'm afraid I can really throw in there, because there's a lot of commentary as we go along, but there's not a lot of questions that went in, which is unfortunate.
Fair enough. Well, on that note, we'll call it a show. So, thank you very much to everyone who joined us this episode. We hope you enjoyed listening to the rants and me fumbling my words all the fucking time. So, until next time, where we would hopefully have read through the Farsight Arcs of Omen, or at least Tack would have done, with luck.
We'll give it a shot, but I'll see if I can get my hands on I might probably watch a video on it, to be honest. I'll probably watch a video.
Fair enough. But anyway, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And this has been Neve from Tactica Imperialis.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.